Ellie Story, Chapter 16. What does it mean that Ellie is decertified? Does it mean you will lose your job? Al asked one night. I'm not a big fan of feet, but I'd allowed Al to take off his shoes and rub my tummy with his because they didn't smell as bad as usual. No, but I'll be reassigned. I've been on a desk for the past several weeks, but I'm not really cut out for that. I'll probably request a transfer to go back out on patrol, Maya answered. Without letting Maya see, Al dropped a tiny piece of meat onto the carpet in front of me. It was one of the main reasons I like to lie in front of him at meals, even if it meant I had to put up with his feet. I silently licked up the treat while Stella gave me a dirty look from the couch. I don't like to think of you being out on patrol, Al told Maya. It's so dangerous. Albert, Maya sighed. What about Ellie? I looked up at my name. More treats? No. Al didn't hand down any more meat. I don't know. She can't work anymore. Her sense of smell is too damaged. So she'll be retired. She'll live with me, right, Ellie? I wagged. I'd always liked the way Maya said my name, even if she didn't drop down anything from her plate. You could hear how much she loved me in that simple sound. Let's go to the beach, Al suggested. No, leave the dishes for later. Come on while it's still light. Let's bring Ellie. Of course, let's bring Ellie. As Al had brought a blanket to the beach, and he spread it out on the sand. The sun was going down, and the breeze took on a chill. He wrapped an arm around Maya's shoulder, and they talked while the little waves came in. It's so beautiful, Maya said. I figured they'd probably wanted to play with a stick or a ball or something, but she had my leash on so that I couldn't go and find them anything. It was too bad. They had nothing to do. Al got my attention by becoming afraid. His heart started to pound so loudly I could hear it, and I could smell the sweat that broke out on his palms and in his forehead. I could sense the nervous tension that was tightening all his muscles. I looked around anxiously. What was going to happen? I moved a little closer to Maya, ready to save her if she needed it. Maya, when you moved here, Al stammered. So many months I wanted to talk to you. You are so beautiful. Maya laughed. Oh, Al, I'm not beautiful. Come on. Some boys ran down by the water, tossing a thin plastic saucer through the air. I watched it alertly in case it turned out to be the thing Al was so nervous about. It didn't look dangerous. It looked like it would be fun to chase, actually. You are the most wonderful woman in the world, Al said. I love you, Maya. Maya was starting to feel afraid, too. I nudged my nose under her hand in case she needed comforting. She always petted me once when I did that, but this time she didn't. I love you too, Al. I know I'm not rich. I know I'm not handsome, Al said. Oh my, Maya breathed. Her heart was beating fast now. But I will love you all my life if you will let me. Al turned on the blanket, rising on his knees. Will you marry me, Maya? It wasn't long after that day that Maya and Mama and all the people we saw so often at Mama's house came together in a big white building and sat quietly to watch me do a new trick Maya had taught me. I walked very slowly down a narrow path between long wooden benches, climbed up some carpeted stairs, and stood patiently while Al took something out of a little pack he'd already tied on my back. Maya whispered, Good girl, Ellie. She was wearing a big fluffy dress, so I knew we weren't going to work afterward or to the park for a run, but I didn't mind because everybody seemed so happy. Mama was even sniffing back tears of joy. I must have done the trick really well, I thought, sitting down to wait while Maya and Al and another man in a dark suit talked and talked and talked. Then we went to Mama's house and the children ran around and fed me cake. Soon after that, Maya and Al did something strange. They took everything in Maya's house and stuffed it all into big boxes. Then they did the same thing with all of Al's things. I didn't understand why they needed so many things anyway. I was content with just my dog bed and my food dish. Maybe they decided that was all they needed too. But it didn't turn out that way. "Come, Ellie," Maya called the day after all the boxes had been carried into a big truck. "Car ride." I still loved car rides, even though we never got to go to work anymore. I bounced into the back seat, but Maya did something I didn't understand at all. She came out of the house carrying 2 big cases, and then she went back for a third. When she put the cases in the back of the car, I heard angry and frightened meowing coming from the inside. Stella, Emmett, and Tinkerbell were in there. "Cats do not come on car rides. Car rides were only for dogs." I barked at Maya to let her know she made a mistake. "Calm down, Ellie. Cool it, cats," Maya said, getting into the car and shutting the door. "It's a short ride. Don't worry. We'll be there soon." There turned out to be a new house. I approved of the house. It had a much nicer backyard than our old one. And there was a big bed, too, which Maya let Al share with her. That wasn't fair. She never let me share. So that first night, I made a plan. After Maya and Al had quieted for a while, I crept up to the bed and worked my nose under the quilt. Nobody stirred. My plan was working. I wiggled up so that my front legs were under the covers, too. Then it was just a matter of jumping so my back legs could make it as well. I jumped. "What's Ellie?" Al shouted. "Oh, Ellie," Maya groaning and laughing at the same time. "Oh, Al, I'm sorry. She never did that before." "Oh, whatever, let her stay." Al reached down and scratched my ears. "But on top of the quilt, Ellie, not under the blankets." At last, I curled up at Maya's feet and she tucked her toes under me to keep them warm. But after a few nights, I decided that sleeping on the big bed was not as much fun as it had seemed. There wasn't much room, and the cats didn't get the message that they belonged on the floor now that I was allowed on the bed with Maya and Al. I jumped down and decided that I'd much rather sleep on the fuzzy rug on Maya's side of the bed. That way, I was able to get up and follow her if she woke up in the middle of the night and wanted a glass of water or went to read a book in the living room. Maya still took me for car rides. Sometimes we went to the beach to run, and Al came with us now and then, but he had trouble keeping up. Maya and I went to the park for long walks, too, but I began to understand that we were not going to do work again. We must have found all the people who needed to be found, and maybe Wally and Belinda just didn't want to play anymore. I didn't really understand it. I missed Find, and I missed the sense that Maya and I were doing something important together, that we were a team, the way Jacob and I had been. But if Maya didn't want to work anymore, I guess we would not be doing it. So I was surprised the day that Maya, dressed in her uniform, called to me. "Ready for work, Ellie?" she asked. My ears perked up. "Work? Really?" I nearly knocked her over, dashing to the car. One thing puzzled me. Maya was relaxed, not tense. She was smiling, not serious. She had never been like this before when we were going to work. I wondered why. She pulled the car up in front of the big building and took me up to the front door. "It's school, Ellie. You're going to like it here. Lots of kids, just like at Mama's house." Maya opened the big doors and we went inside. There were lots of kids in the building, many more than at Mama's house. Maya took me into a big, noisy room with a stage up front and rows of children sitting in chairs. They started laughing and calling out as soon as they caught sight of me. "Dog! Look at the dog!" "Can I pet her?" "She's so cute." Maya and I walked up some stairs to the stage. She told me to sit, and I did. Someone must have told the children to sit as well, but they were not as good at it yet. They wiggled and bounced and got up on their knees to see better. A woman got up and talked to the children. I wasn't paying much attention to her voice since I didn't know it well. Use your listening ears," I heard her say. "And best manners, please, and a real welcome." Then all the children clapped. The noise startled me, and they laughed. I wagged. The joy that I could see in their faces and hear in their giggling voices made me happy, even though there didn't seem to be much to do here. Maya walked me forward, and when she spoke, her voice was loud. "This is Ellie." I perked at my ears, looking up to see if a command would follow. "She is a retired search and rescue dog." As part of our outreach program, I wanted to come to talk to you about how Ellie has helped to find lost children and what you can do if you ever become lost, Maya said. No command. I sat down and yawned. I waited for about a half an hour while Maya talked, and then she led me down off the stage. The children lined up and came in small groups to pet me. Some gave me grabby hugs, some hung back, a little afraid. One girl timidly offered me her hand, and I licked it, tasting salty crackers and a smudge of chocolate. She jumped back with a squeal, but she was giggling. After that, Maya and I did school often. Sometimes the children were young, sometimes older. The younger ones gave me more hugs. The older ones scratched behind my ears. Either was fine with me. Sometimes we went to other buildings where there were no children at all, but people as old as Marilyn, one of the first people I'd ever found, or to places that had sharp chemical smells. I couldn't smell as much anymore, but those places reminded me of that liquid that had splashed onto my nose and hurt it. I didn't like the smell, but I did like the people. They were lying in beds or sitting in strange chairs with wheels, and I could smell and feel that they were sad or sick or in pain. But some of that sadness lifted me when Maya talked to them, and they stroked my fur. I wasn't saving these people exactly. They weren't lost, except that it sort of felt like they were. Somehow, this was a new kind of work. I didn't really understand it, but Maya was there and the people were happier when we left. That seemed right. That was what work was for, to make things better.